Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. Today we will have again another lecture video, and this is the last part of our lesson 3. So last uh, lecture videos we have discussed about the cycle, the estrus, the phases, and the stages. So to continue, we will have today the postpartum heat. But first of all, we have to be thankful again for another day added to our life. We have to be thankful for the blessings that we have received today, and the protection that we have in spite that we are in a period of pandemic. Let us continue to pray for our safety, for our safety of our family. Let us continue to pray so that this pandemic will end. Let us also pray for those who are sick, for those who are depressed, and for those who are unhappy. And hoping that we will see each other in the next semester. Okay, so postpartum heat. So I know that this is another new word for your vocabulary, no? And we have to define first what is postpartum heat. Okay, so as defined, postpartum heat is the heat or estrus after parturition. So, right after the delivery of the offspring, the first heat of that animal after lactation, so that is called postpartum heat. And when we say postpartum period, that is the time from parturition to the first fertile estrus. So take note of the word fertile, because there are animals having postpartum but it was classified to be infertile. Okay, so we have the different postpartum period of the farm animals. So for sows, they have an infertile estrus. So which in the third to 10 days postpartum. So first fertile estrus after weaning. So on the 3rd to 10th days after the parturition, there will be signs of estrus that we can observe in a newly delivered sows. But as I have said, that is infertile. So the service of a sire is not will not be useful. Will not be useful because there will be no ovulation. So their fertile estrus will take place after weaning. So in a normal body condition, 3 to 5 days to 1 week, the sow will have their first fertile estrus after weaning. But in some case, it can be nutritional. So the sows will have a longer time for them to have the first fertile estrus. Okay, for the use, so non-seasonal. So because as we all know, sheep are short day breeders. So therefore past non-fertile, and this is non-fertile estrus, which will take place 21 days for postpartum, and their first fertile estrus will happen to 40 days first fertile estrus. So but this is only for non-seasonal, because as I have said, for seasonal, sheep are noted to be a short day breeders. So therefore, postpartum also can be affected by their exposure to daylight period. Okay, for mares, whole heat, it will take place on the 5th to 15 days postpartum. But it was noted that within this day, this is with lower fertility. So if you are aiming for a higher fertility, you will wait for their next estrus, which is 45 days postpartum or after the parturition. Okay, for cows, their first estrus is on the 30th to 40th days postpartum in dairy cows, and 40 to 60 days in beef cattle. So beef cattle has a much longer postpartum period than the dairy cattle. And take note, at this period, this is considered to be a fertile estrus. So if they will be served by a sire, they will be served by a bull, there is a chance of impregnating and the fertility is high. Okay, so what are the factors affecting the postpartum period? Okay, so number one, we have the body condition pre and postpartum. So as I've said a while ago, that especially on the sows, their postpartum will depend on their body condition. So if sows have a good body condition, they are expected to have a fertile estrus 3 to 5 days or 1 week after weaning. But if their body condition was not maintained in the time of lactation, there will be an extended first fertile estrus postpartum. So some of the animals will have 2 months based on the experience, because they will take time to recover the nutrients that is considered to be low in intake, in really intake during lactation period. So therefore, if you are an animal raisers, you have to be observant also as to their body condition. If their body condition cannot be met, body condition cannot be met, so there is a need for you to supply a more higher nutrients ratio, so in order for them to have a shorter postpartum period. Okay, second is plane of nutrition. So this is quite similar also to body condition, because it will be hard for you to maintain the body condition without providing them proper nutrition. Okay, so lactating animals will require 18% CP. So if the nutrients if the nutrients required cannot be supported, cannot be compensated, the animal's body will utilize their reserved nutrients in their body. Thus, it will cause a longer period of postpartum. Okay, lactation stress. As to the lactation stress, as to the lactation pressure, much pressure that can be found in the sows. Because they deliver more number of youngs compared with other farm animals. Okay, So, we have to ensure that all of the nutrients required, especially the energy level required by the animals in feeds, must be supported in order for us to reduce this lactation stress. Okay, suckling stimulus. That is why we are always recommending a shorter weaning period, because when we have a shorter weaning period, we can reduce the suckling stimulus of the other animals. If they have a shorter suckling period, as expected, they will have an earlier fertile estrus or postpartum heat. So this can be related also to lactation stress, to plane of nutrition and body condition. So in order for us to have a shorter weaning period, we have to train the youngs to eat earlier. So in South, we can start training the piglets eating feeds at the age of 3 to 4 days. So as I have said, if the youngs will be trained to eat full earlier, so we can reduce the suckling stimulus, and we can have a shorter postpartum period. Okay, photo period. As we have discussed in our past lecture video, there are seasonal breeders, mares and ewes. The mares are long day breeders and the ewes are short day breeders. So postpartum also can be affected by their exposure to daylight period or the photo period, especially to seasonal ewes. So as I have said, their postpartum may be affected by their light exposure, although that they have a first fertile estrus at the 40th day after parturition. But that 40th day will depend also to the exposure to daylight period. Okay, temperature. Why temperature can cause a longer postpartum period? So, in increase of the normal body temperature, it will cause a lot of changes in the physiological processes of the animals, which will include reproductive processes. So, they are prone to stress and so many things. Thus, it will affect their postpartum period. So, we have to ensure also that the ambient temperature inside our housing for our animals we have to ensure that the ambient temperature inside the housing of our animals can be maintained also in order for them to be comfortable, so that we can have a shorter postpartum period. So in a period where there is a higher increase in temperature, so we have to do the insulation of our roofing materials, and we have to improve the ventilation inside our building. Okay, and number 7, another factor affecting the postpartum period is the presence of male animals. Okay, there are racers that after winning, they are exposing their animals. They are exposing their animals at their dry period to the male animals. So in some of the commercial piggeries doing life cycle housing, they are placing the boars nearest to the pens of the dry sows, because it was noted that the exposure of female animals to male will have a shorter postpartum period. There are management also that the boars are placed at the middle pens. Side by side are pens for dry sow. So same for other animals. So after weaning, they must be exposed immediately to males for them to be stimulated to have a short postpartum period. So these are the factors that may affect the postpartum period of female animals. Okay, next. What are the endocrine changes for first postpartum estrus in cattle? So in tonic LH, luteinizing hormone causes progesterone. So how this luteinizing hormone will cause progesterone? Okay, luteinizing hormone, in our past discussion, luteinizing hormone is the hormone responsible for the maturation of egg cells. And when there is ovulation, the ruptured follicles will cause the formation of corpus luteum inside the uterus, in a uterine wall. And the luteal cells of the corpus luteum are responsible for the production of this progesterone. That is why it was stated that LH causes progesterone. So, postpartum may be affected by the release of the luteinizing hormone. Okay, source of progesterone from the ovary. So, as I have said, if there is a rupture of follicles, it will lead to the formation of the corpus luteum, and the luteal cells comprising the corpus luteum will be responsible of the production of progesterone. That is why ovary was considered to be the source of progesterone. Okay, adrenals. This pertains to the adrenal glands, the endocrine glands, responsible for the production of hormones. Okay, progesterone primes in the brain. Yes, because if the brain will not command the hypothalamus to release GnRH to activate the pituitary gland, they will not have behavioral estrus, and there will be no surge of luteinizing hormone. So, may I refer you this to our past videos, the endocrine functions in reproduction, for you to review at this part. Okay, need in progesterone for behavioral estrus and LH surge. So the presence of progesterone will reduce the level of the estrogen, thus suppressing the release of follicle stimulating hormone, but instead luteinizing hormone. So that is why luteinizing hormone will surge during the first postpartum estrus. Okay, with decrease of progesterone, follicular growth, and estrogen, increase luteinizing hormone surge. Okay, management techniques to shorten the postpartum interval. Number 1, feed intake of sows. By doing flushing after weaning will helps. So flushing should be always conducted 10 to 14 days before breeding. So after weaning, you have to do flushing. So what are the activities that we have to do during flushing? Okay, we have to increase the feed intake of the animals, the dry animals. But the increase of feed intake should be based on the body conditioning of the animals. It will be our two eyes that will evaluate how much will be the feeds that we are going to supply for the sows for them to have a shorter postpartum period. But take note, the feed intake should be based on the body condition. If you see that the body condition is good, so you have to do a minimal increase in feed intake. So what are other activities that we have to do in flushing? So we can have here deworming, we can have here vitamins and other mineral supplementation. Okay, so that is one way for us to shorten the postpartum interval. Okay, maintain animals in a moderate to good body condition. So you have to base the body conditioning evaluation to the body scoring. So you have to maintain the body scores which will make the animals to be capacitated again to be impregnated. Okay, avoid weight loss under over condition. Avoid weight loss unless over condition. You are too excited for the shorter postpartum interval. You have provided more feeds during flushing period. So that will cause over condition. The animals will tend to be over fat. The animals will tend to increase more weight. Thus, it will not qualify them to be impregnated. We have to do weight loss so that they can have a required breeding weight. But if they are not over conditioned, we have to avoid weight loss for the body to be prepared for the next postpartum. So early weaning to remove suckling effect. So I have already discussed that. Why we need to do early weaning. If there is early weaning, there will be less lactation stress. There will be the removal of suckling effect, and there is a chance for us to maintain body condition, avoiding weight loss. Okay, so after breeding, gestation will follow. What is gestation? This is the period of the development in the uterus from conception until birth. So that is termed to be pregnancy. But the desired term for animals is gestation, or the period from fertilization to parturition is the period of gestation. Okay, for most species, the amount of a fetus grows before birth determines the length of gestation period. When we say amount, it refers to the number or it refers to sizes. The bigger that the fetus will grow, there will be a longer length of gestation period. Because smaller animals have a shorter gestation period than a bigger animals. That is referred by the word amount. Smaller species normally have a shorter gestation period than a larger animals. So for example, a cat's gestation normally takes 58 to 65 days, while the elephant takes 645 days. Again, it is the amount of a fetus. So, you have to imagine or you have to compare the body size of kittens and the body size of the elephant. So that is the reason why they can have a shorter gestation period. However, growth does not necessarily determine the length of gestation for all species, especially for those with a breeding season. Species that use a breeding season usually give birth during a specific time of a year when food is available. So the canines, the dog families, they have only 2 breeding seasons per year. But those animals belong to canine family who are in wild. Usually, they are giving birth at the time of the year when food is available. So, the availability of food will be the determinant of their gestation period. If the food will be available in abundance, as expected, they will have a shorter gestation period. So, it will not be based on the development of the fetus inside. Okay, various other factors can come into play in determining the duration of gestation. So, for humans, male fetuses normally gestate several days longer than females, and multiple pregnancies gestate for a shorter period, the twins. So, male fetuses will require a longer gestation period than female fetuses. Okay, but why multiple pregnancies gestate for a shorter period? Like example, if the female human will have twins, they will have a shorter gestation period because of the capacity of the uterus to hold more number of fetuses inside. That is why they will have a shorter period of pregnancy than having a single fetus inside. So ethnicity may also lengthen on certain gestation periods. So in dogs, there's a positive correlation between the gestation time and a small litter size. So it will depend on the breeds, their body size, that may also lengthen or shorten the gestation time. Okay, I hope that you have learned something of today's videos. So thank you very much for listening. So do not forget to share, like, follow, comment, and turn on the notification bell for you to be prompted on the upload of our next lecture video. So that's all for today. Good day to everyone. Stay safe. God bless.